In this video, I'm going to show you a design that I made inside of Photoshop for the car guy niche and how you can recreate it inside of Adobe Spark. What's up guys, thanks for clicking on this video. My name is Nate Hibbert and this is Wingman University, where our goal is to help you start and scale a print-on-demand business. Today I was looking through some of our stats in our business and customer bases that we could go back and double down in. Saw that we're still selling well inside of the auto/car guy niche, so that got me excited to go back and look at some of the designs that we've made and see if we can make any improvements on them. As I was doing that, I found a design that I made inside of Photoshop that took me a very long time to create because I actually created all the individual assets and assembled the whole thing. Let's go ahead and get into what this design is and see if we can recreate it inside of Adobe Spark. So here we are inside of Amazon looking at a design. This isn't exactly mine, but it's very close to the design that I made. But I just wanted to show you how complicated some of these designs can be. So I'm sure this person made it inside of Photoshop or some other type of big graphic design tool. But there are just so many different elements going on here, and aligning all this can be quite a nightmare. And so I thought today, instead of recreating this design the same way I have it already, that I would do something a little bit harder and challenge myself to create something like this inside of Spark. So I've got a blank Spark artboard already opened up and ready for us. To get inspiration from what type of icons we could be using, let me go ahead and split these windows. And as I'm looking at this design, I'm noticing that this is more of like in the woodworking category. So we won't be using exactly the type of icons they have here, but we want to be arranging them in a similar way, where we're having lines of icons kind of making the lines of the flag, and then something in the top right hand corner here representing the stars on the American flag. And so what I'm going to do is go into icons and just type in car parts to see what we get. Because again, we're making this for our car auto niche customer base. So as I type in car parts, we're going to start seeing some icons. And I really like icons like this that are like more complicated. But the thing is about putting these on a shirt or any other type of print on demand product is that they're just not going to stand out all that well. So I really like my icons to be all the way filled in. So something like this disc, or this brake rotor with the brake on here, this is a really good icon to use for a shirt or something like this, and maybe something that we could use for our stars. So let's go ahead and duplicate that one out, and we're just kind of doing a research here to see what type of icons we could be using. These belts are pretty cool, but they might be a little bit too complicated for the design that we're doing and not really the right shape that we're looking for. It's kind of this off angle triangle. I guess we could line it up this way, but that one loses some of the meaning, so we'll keep that one on our artboard, but we're going to be looking for other icons that are probably a little bit longer and narrower, like these screwdrivers over here. So let's go to replace icon again, keep scrolling down, and we're starting to get there. I think this might be like a spark plug or something, maybe this way. I'm not exactly sure what car part that is, but we could hit replace icon and just looking for more icons like this that are going to be almost in a rectangle shape. So I'm going to keep scrolling down. Ooh, I really like this engine. So I'm going to keep this one, duplicate that out, and go back into replace. And here is kind of the perfect shape for what we want to be doing. But as much detail as this is, and as much as I really like this icon, I think I'm going to try and stick with just silhouettes to get the idea of the shirt across and not make it too complicated. So what I can do is I can go to replace and I can actually just type in car piston. And that will give me just a few options, and you can see these ones are a lot more, but just a little bit simpler than the over detailed one that we had before. So I'm just going to click through, see if there's one that really sticks out to me, see these a little bit more up close. And I like this one in the middle. It's not perfect, but I do think that it will work good for this design. I'm going to duplicate this out, and I'm going to look for one other car part that is kind of in that same shape. So I'm going to go back to car parts and see what else we can find as I'm just scrolling down looking for something that is more of a rectangle shape. There's a lot more pistons here, and something up here that caught my eye is this car spring. Maybe car shocks. Okay, here we go. So car shocks. So that is kind of like the process of finding some good icons. Sometimes you just got to guess at what it would be called. Springs or shocks or shock with an S, like that all does make a difference. But don't be afraid to go in here and kind of quote unquote shop for different icons. So I think this one is sticking out to me. The first thing I'm going to do is change this all to white, just so I can see them a little bit better. I really like this green color, but we're going to change these to white just so they stick out out on the black background a little bit more. So I think the next thing I want to do is actually just align the shocks and the piston in two different lines. I've done designs like this before, but never inside of Spark. So I would probably guess that we're going to need at least 4 of them. So I'm going to keep that size, and I'm just going to duplicate this out 4 times. I'm going to try and get the alignment as close as I can and nudge it into place with my arrow keys where I think I need to do that. And there we go, from top to bottom, it is about 4 of these shocks. So one cool new feature that I've talked about a few different times now is the ability to shift click all of these and go to group. And so now this is just one icon that I can click on and off of, and I don't have to individually select all of these since we kind of have them the size that we want them now. And we can do that exact same thing for the piston icon. Hey guys, just going to stop the video real quick and ask if you could do something to help us out, and that's leave a like, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel so we can keep growing the Wingman University. All right, I'll let you get back to the video now. So I'm going to use my shock over here as a way to get the sizing correct. And again, just using my arrow keys to kind of bump that in place, making sure that they're not too big or too small compared to the shocks. And then I'm going to do the same thing and duplicate this out 4 times. So there we go. We're just going to nudge these left or up and down, excuse me, so that we can get them lined up with these other shocks over here. And then we can do the same thing where we're going to shift click all of these and then group them together so that now they're paired. So we've got 2 lines of our flag. If I shift click both of these, I can move them together. And so what I'm going to do now is move this out of the way and create the rectangle that we want up here to represent the area of the stars. So we can go to icon, we can type in square, pick out any square and make sure that we're going to make this a decent size, and use my little duplicate trick to make this a little bit longer since we want it to actually be a rectangle. And using the height of the 2 icons will probably be good, because when we make the next 2 lines, they can just be 2 icons tall individually. So I don't think the check engine or the disc brake or these belts will work for the line because we want these to be a little bit longer, but they might work for the star. So I'm going to arrange these on top of this and make them small and see which one we think would work best as a star on our American flag. I think out of these 3, I'm going to go with the disc brake, as it kind of has a star pattern already built into it. So I can go ahead and delete out these 2 icons, and we're just going to make a quick pattern so that we can make some stars in here. So we're just going to duplicate this out, put some spacing in between them, and make a very easy repeating pattern that we can use our arrow keys to help us get aligned correctly. And we can even do things like this, where we shift click both of these and duplicate and then just drag them down. Just to make a quick and easy pattern. Definitely not something we have to spend all day on. So we can duplicate these again, drag them down 1 more. And then if we shift click all of these together, not only can we group them together, but then we can also resize them so that they fit inside of this rectangle the way that we want to. So now we've got them placed where we want them, we've got them grouped so we can move them if we need to. We can also group all of this stuff together, so now this rectangle is just one solid thing that we can drag around and get into the exact position that we want. So we can see our flag's kind of heavy to the left-hand side here, so instead of having to click all these icons, because we've been grouping things as we've gone along, we can just group them and move them back towards the center. Now for the last 2 lines of our flag, I think I'm going to take some more inspiration from this flag over here and do a screwdriver and a wrench, as there was no other car parts that I really saw that would fit with the design that we're doing here. So I'm going to type in a screwdriver. We're just going to look for one that is has a little bit of detail to it. We don't want something that's super basic. I'm going to use this one. I'm going to again resize this down similar to the shock size. We can duplicate it out and drag that down. So the last thing I've got to look for now, we're going to go back into our icon and we're going to look for a wrench. So as I'm scanning, I like this one. Let's see how this looks when it's actually on our artboard. And I like this one. This is kind of the balance of what we're looking for. A simple wrench, but has one detail element inside of it. So we're gonna do the same thing where we line this up with something we already have on our artboard so we can get the sizing just right. Move that to where we think we want it, duplicate it out, line everything up with our arrow keys that we need to. I think I might have made this a little bit too big, or maybe it's just not moved up enough. We could do something with this cool like military green color that we have here, but I think I'm going to stick with the red, white, and blue that most American flags are in. So I'm going to go to our star area here, turn this to a nice blue, and then go to our stripes that we have here and make the first one is going to be white, and then the second one will be red. Pistons are already white, so I just have to change, or sorry, our springs are already white, and we're just going to change our pistons to that same red that we used for the screwdriver. So go through here, click each one of these. And let me tell you, that was way quicker than doing this inside of Photoshop. The design that I made like this inside of Photoshop, I actually had to create each one of these icons that I used, and then aligning them was a little bit harder as well. Now, something I could do as I'm looking at this design is we could give each one of these icons a little bit of rotation, just to not make it seem so straightforward and boring. I don't know if I'll like this or not, but it's easy enough to try out. So I'm just going to go through and rotate each of these just a little bit to see how I feel about it. And one nice thing that you'll notice as I'm rotating these is that they actually snap in place. So it lets me know where to stop my rotation so that they're all exactly even. If you guys enjoyed watching me create this design that I've made in Photoshop before, but inside of Spark, there is a step-by-step guide that will teach you how to use this program, Adobe Spark, where you can also create designs like this. You don't have to put all the time and effort into learning Photoshop for your print-on-demand business. You can use this tool and be pretty successful. So if you want to check that out, there is a link below. Or if you'd like to stick around here on YouTube and watch some more videos, we've got those lined up for you right over here. But until the next video, I'll see you guys around.